After 10 years of war, every Greek hero sailed home to his family. All except one. For Odysseus, king of Ithaca, the journey home would take another 10 years and become the greatest adventure ever told. Hello, I'm Professor Atticus Stone. Homer's Odyssey is 3,000 years old, and it's still the blueprint for every adventure story since. Monsters, witches, gods, and one clever, very unlucky man just trying to get home. Here's how it went. Odysseus set sail with 12 ships. Their first stop was the land of the Lotus Eaters, whose people offered his men the local lotus flower. It was so blissful that the men forgot their homes and families entirely. They wanted only to stay and eat lotus forever. Odysseus had to drag them back to the ships. The journey had barely begun, and he was already losing his crew to a flower. Next, they wandered into a giant cave belonging to Polyphemus, a one-eyed man-eating Cyclops, and a son of the sea god Poseidon. Trapped inside, Odysseus hatched a plan. He told the Cyclops his name was Nobody, got him drunk, and drove a stake into his single eye. Blinded, Polyphemus screamed that nobody had attacked him, so the other Cyclopes ignored him, and the men escaped beneath the sheep. But as he sailed off, a proud Odysseus shouted his real name. Now Poseidon knew who had blinded his son, and swore to make the rest of the voyage a nightmare. Aeolus, keeper of the winds, gave Odysseus a parting gift, all the storms sealed in a leather bag, leaving only a gentle wind to carry them home. For 9 days they sailed. On the 10th, they could see Ithaca itself. Then, while Odysseus slept, his crew opened the bag, certain it held treasure, and every storm at once roared out and blew them all the way back. On the island of Aea, the sorceress Circe welcomed a scouting party with a warm feast, then waved her wand and turned them all into pigs. Protected by a herb from the god Hermes, Odysseus resisted her magic and forced her to change them back. He wasn't in a hurry to leave, though. He stayed comfortably for an entire year. The Sirens' song lured every sailor to a watery death. So Odysseus filled his crew's ears with wax, but he wanted to hear the song and live. He had himself tied tightly to the mast. As they passed, the Sirens sang, and Odysseus begged and screamed to be freed. His crew, hearing nothing, simply rowed on. Then came the cruelest choice, a narrow strait between two monsters. On one side, Charybdis, a whirlpool that swallowed whole ships. On the other, Scylla, a six-headed beast. Odysseus steered from the whirlpool, and Scylla snatched 6 of his men. It is exactly where we get the phrase, between a rock and a hard place. His ship destroyed, and his crew finally lost, Odysseus washed up alone on the island of the nymph Calypso. She fell in love with him and kept him there 7 long years, even offering him immortality. But every day he sat on the shore, weeping, staring at the sea, longing for home. At last the gods took pity and ordered her to let him go. 20 years after he first left for Troy, Odysseus reached Ithaca to find his home under siege. Believing him dead, over 100 suitors had moved into his palace, demanding his wife Penelope choose a new husband. He disguised himself as an old beggar to see the truth. Clever Penelope set a final test. Whoever could string Odysseus's mighty bow and fire an arrow through 12 axe heads would win her hand. One by one, the suitors failed. Then the old beggar picked up the bow, strung it with ease, and fired a perfect shot before throwing off his disguise. Odysseus was home. 10 years of war, 10 years lost at sea, monsters, gods, and 100 rivals, and still he made it home. We've told his story for 3,000 years, not because he was the strongest, but because he never stopped trying to get home. Of course, None of it would have happened without the war that started it all. Next time, the Trojan War and the most famous trick in history. Until then, keep your wits about you.